Welcome, fellow bookworms, to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and it is time for another Monday Musings. Last week completely went off the rails. I don't know. I just was very restless, restless, but also really exhausted at the same time. And so I did end up on Thursday. I went down to the bigger city and met my husband. And we hit just two little free libraries. I only had a handful of books that I wanted to unhaul. And I had gone to one of the local thrift stores and gotten a couple books because their books, if you get four, they're all 25 cents. Otherwise, it's 50 cents for paperbacks and $1 for hardcovers. And so I got like a couple books that I already owned, and then one book I wasn't sure if I was interested in, and I read the first chapter and I was like, yeah, not for me. And so I wanted to take those to little free libraries. And he wanted to see Masters of the Universe. Neither one of us liked it. I don't know anything about like He-Man or anything like that. But that was like his favorite as a child. So, but both of us were very disappointed in the movie. And so yeah, we went and we hit some little free libraries, got like a late lunch, early dinner, and then went to Barnes and Noble as well while we waited for the movie, and then headed over to the movie. So that was Thursday night, and then Friday, honestly, I slept all day. Like, I was just so tired. I wanted to read. I had planned just to have a reading day. I had already done chores and everything, so I was like, I'll just have a reading day. And I ended up sleeping all day. Pretty much same thing as Saturday. I slept, which I needed to sleep. So hey, that's one thing. Like, I always like feel guilty about napping, and my husband's like, don't, like, if you need sleep, you need sleep. And he was off Friday, and so yeah, he was on his computer and I was just snoozing away. And then yesterday there was a live show for Kim from Expedition Through Pages, TBR Trek game, and so we did that. And next live show, she's like, next time will be Endgame. We're just gonna play, and it's basically you read whatever prompts you want, and the more prompts you read, the more entries into the giveaway you get. So, next live show will be the final one. But yeah, so I had that yesterday, and then I just wasn't feeling reading, and so I ended up knitting. I knitted while I was doing the live show, and then I ended up knitting afterwards as well, and watched Heartland again, which is one of my favorite shows, and I'm rewatching it. I'm now halfway through season 3, so I'm making good progress there. But yeah, it was not a good reading day. I ended up reading one book that I hadn't even planned on reading this week because it was the only one that had an audiobook from Libby. And so I wanted it while I did chores and such. And that book is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. This one was actually, because I did 3 card spreads for all the books, which based on like what I had, so I did 4 3-card spreads, so of course 12 books, and I like the number 13, so I just pulled an extra card, and that was this one. And so it was King of Swords and book with scientific elements, which this one definitely has. There's this fog that has taken over the world, and there's this island with this group of scientists that have been able to keep the fog at bay. One of the scientists gets murdered, and they have like, I don't remember how many hours to solve the murder, so that way the island AI can basically use a loophole to reenact the things that were keeping the fog at bay. This is probably my least favorite out of the 3 books I've read by this author. Double in the Dark Water is definitely my favorite. I gave that one 5 stars. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, I gave 4 stars, and I really enjoyed that one. This one I also gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed the initial setup of this one. He doesn't just plop you down into this murder mystery. You're actually getting to know the villagers a little bit beforehand, and then the murder takes place, and then they're having to solve it. So I really liked how the author did that. My biggest thing with this one is it got a little bit too many reveals and too many whodunits back and forth. Like, oh, was it this person because of this reveal? Oh, maybe it was this person because of this reveal. And I know some people really like that, but for me, it was just too much and it made the story drag on longer. And so I kind of lost interest. And by the time the real whodunit, the real reveal happened, I was just kind of over it. So that's what dropped it down for me. But otherwise, I did really enjoy it. I like the characters. Emery's kind of the main, like, trying to solve it. And I really liked her character and the way the author wrote Emery. And then you have her father and her daughter and, all the other villagers and such. And so, yeah, I had a good time with this, but it just went on a little too long and there was just a little bit too much back and forth reveals and, oh, maybe it was this person, maybe it was this person, maybe it was this person. A little bit too much of that. But otherwise, I did really enjoy that. So that one, like I said, I wasn't planning on reading that one till this week, but it was the only book I had that had a Libby audiobook that was available. I was originally hoping to get an audiobook for The Princess Bride by William Goldman, but this one doesn't actually have an audiobook. It has the best parts audiobook. It doesn't actually have an audiobook, which is strange to me, but there we are. So anyway, so that's why I ended up picking up that one. I continued on with excuse me. I continued on with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was for The Lovers, which is a book featuring romance. And so this one I read for quite a while. Like, I really took my time with it, which is pretty abnormal for me. And this one I also gave 4 stars. I did enjoy it. I really liked, like, the vibes of the circus and such. The game, like, the competition part wasn't as strong. Like, based on the back, you think it's like this deadly competition, and it's kind of more. It's not a chess game, but they kind of compare it to that at times throughout the book. It was perfect to read during the tarot readathon because there is somebody who reads tarot cards in here. The tarot cards, like, when they would come up, it wouldn't explain the significance of that. And to me, like, I wish it had, because I'm not as familiar with tarot. And so I think if they had explained the significance of the different cards as they came up, and just kind of that competition element was a little lackluster as well. But I did like how the author, like, made the story play it out. I did enjoy the romance that was in here and such. And I love the vibes of this, like, great vibes. This would work better in autumn. I'm not a big seasonal reader, but I definitely think this one would be perfect for, like, autumn nights and such. But I did really enjoy this one overall. So I'm glad I finally read that one, because that one's been on my TBR for a long time. Excuse me. And none of those worked for the weekly challenge, which was a book you bought or put on your TBR because of the cover. Neither one of those worked for that. The Night Circus, I just heard people talking about it and was interested in it. And The Last Murder at the End of the World, I was interested because I read the other 2 books. So there's that. So those are the only 2 books I actually finished during the week. And neither one, like I said, worked for the weekly challenge. But they were tarot card pulls, so there's that. My husband and I have continued on with Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. We're over the halfway mark now. We're at page 250, and it's, how many pages is this? 437. So definitely over the halfway mark. We didn't read when we went Thursday. We got home late, so we didn't read then. And then yesterday, he didn't feel like reading. He's been reading this one aloud, because generally I'm the one that's reading aloud, but in this case, he's been reading it aloud while I've been knitting, which has been nice. This one, neither one of us are loving it. We're enjoying it. Like, it's not bad by any means, but compared to Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's a little lackluster. The plot is really dragging. Um, like, there's not a whole lot of action, and kind of the more, like, touchy-feely parts are kind of detracting from the story. Generally, I really enjoy that in books. I like that deeper emotion, but in this case, like, I just get to the action, you know? But there is a lot of social commentary in here, just like with Dungeon Crawler Carl and such. So we are enjoying it, and we'll definitely finish this week. And so we'll just keep on reading that one. Then I have started Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. Operation Bounce House was for, where is it? Nine of Wands, a book with survival elements, and a double points for 3-word title because it was slot 3 of a 3-card spread. So obviously they're trying to survive their planet, and this game that's trying to off them all. So Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. This one I made it to just through the first part. So now I'm on the second part, which is Autumn, which is nice, and that's 152 pages, and this one is 464 pages. So almost a third, not quite a third yet. This one is not for Tarot Readathon, but it will work for this week's weekly challenge. It just popped up before I sat down to film, which is, I forget, it was something Wands, but it's basically to read a book that you'll think you'll fly through. And I definitely thought I would fly through this because it's a young adult and it's like horror-y vibes. And I only read 27 pages the first night. Like I said, I just really haven't been feeling reading this past week. But last night, like, I didn't even pick it up till bedtime, and then I flew through. And so I'm hoping if I don't finish this tonight, I can finish it mostly and just have a few, wrap it up tomorrow. But this one, like, it's definitely a quick read. I did feel like I would fly through this because it's young adult. So even though I already know, like, now the pacing and such, but I did before I picked this up. So this will work for the weekly challenge at least. So there is that one. I'll continue that one. This one's good. It's about the small village of Amity Amity Falls, and there's like monsters in the woods, and the supply train leaves and ends up getting attacked and doesn't come back. And so they're like, are the monsters back? And they're trying to figure that out and such. And other weird things are happening in the town. So really enjoying this. Her father keeps bees, which is why you have all the bees on here. And I can't wait. Like, I did not want to put it down last night once I started to pick it up, but it's like, you need sleep. You've been, really tired. So just go to sleep. But yeah, really loving this and can't wait to jump back into it this evening. And so that leaves 5 books, 4 of which are for Tarot Readathon, 1 of which is just for my TBR game that I need to finish. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about those. So first up, this one I was hoping to read this past week, obviously didn't get to it. And that's Kingdom of the Curse by Kerri Maniscalco, which is the second book called following Kingdom of the Wicked, which basically you have, I think it's Amelia, and her sister gets murdered, and so she ends up teaming up with this Prince of Hell to try to figure out what happened to her sister. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this one. This one was for, it was in the 2 slot of the 3-card spread, so I could go plus or minus on either side. And so I had pulled the 9 of Swords, but I went to the 10 of Swords, which is a book with death in the synopsis, which is not on the back of this one, but on the Goodreads synopsis, it does mention the death of her sister. So that one, I'll read this one, and then it will wrap up that 3-card spread that I had pulled. And then we have this one, and I do think I'll fly through that one, so that one will work for the weekly challenge, as will this one, which is Big Girl Blitz by Danielle Allen. And this one I might actually pick up next before Kingdom of the Wicked, just because I've been reading, like darker fantasy-esque ones, and this is just a straight romance, and I know I'll fly through it. And so this is Big Girl Blitz by Danielle Allen. It's the 3rd book following Curvy Girl Summer and Plus Size Player, which I enjoyed both of those. One of them I got as an ARC, I believe from a Goodreads giveaway, and then it was like the second one, so I picked up the first one and really enjoyed it. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because Jasmine's was my favorite of the 3 women here, and this one was number 2 spot, and so I got the Wheel of Fortune, which is actually a mood read, but it also works for the next spot up, which is Justice, which is a queer, BIPOC, or disabled author, and Danielle Allen is a BIPOC author. So I can't wait to read this. But basically, it says Jasmine Payne fled her hometown and the fat phobes who made her life hell the minute she graduated high school. Growing up, her haven was her Aunt Addison, and when her health takes a drastic turn, she insists that Jazz should spice up her life, emphasis on the spice. But dating is the last thing Jazz has on her mind until Lamar Anderson sits next to her at the local sports bar. He is sexy, fun, and refreshingly drama-free. With him, she's able to pretend that everything is all right, but as real life intrudes, Jazz has to decide if she can leave the past where it belongs for a love that she deserves. And so it has a lot of body positivity rep in here as well. And so I can't wait to read that one. And like I said, it will work for the weekly challenge as well. Then I am hoping to get to The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I added this one on. This is for it landed on the third spot in the three card spread, and I got The Sun, and so a fun or joyful book, double points for 3-word title. So The Princess Bride is 3 words, and so yeah, I can't wait to read this one, and that will finish up that third 3 card spread. And I got The Sun twice, and I think I got it in that third slot both times. And I've wanted to read this for a long time. I love the movie. I didn't want to buy the book new, and so I've always kept my eye out, and I never found it like at the thrift store or Little Free Library or anything until recently, and picked it up. And so it's been a couple months now, and it's been sitting up there. And so when this prompt popped up, I was like, perfect opportunity to read this. And I can't wait. I know that there's definitely differences from the book to the movie. I'm worried that the humor won't be quite my thing, but since I do enjoy the humor in the movie, it might work for me. But I cannot wait to read this. So there's that one. And then we have the Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. And this one was for the first spot. And I got a book with rich people drama or has wealthy characters. And this one, you're basically following a trad wife. But it's all for show. She has like nannies and such in the background. And so that definitely counts as rich people to me. And then she ends up back in the past where the wives were actually having to do things that today's trad wives do for show. And she's actually having to do those things. So I'm looking forward. This is, of course, big buzz right now. You know, a lot of people are talking about it on BookTube. And so I'm excited to be able to read that. But this one is not part of my game at all, or neither is The Princess Bride. So obviously those are just for Tarot Readathon, but I want to get my team as many points as I can. And then the last book that I'm hoping to read, but this one, if I don't get to it this week, there's 2 days next week, and the way I'm doing my TBR game now is as long as I finish the books before I start my next round of books, I can get a reward. I just have to finish the books. And so even if this spills over into July a little bit, that's fine because it's not for Tarot Readathon at all. It does not work for the weekly challenge because I don't think I'm going to fly through this, even though I believe it is young adult. It is a bit denser. And so this is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos, translated from French, I believe. And yeah, this one, again, another book that's been on my TBR for a long time, and I was able to get it on my game TBR. And so I'm looking forward to reading this, but this one is the lowest priority because as long as, like I said, I'm planning on playing my next round of my TBR game after I film this, but as long as I read this before I start that set of books, I do get my reward. So really looking forward to that, and I am planning on reading that. So there are the books. So that is 5 full books and then 2 partial books to read this week. And we'll just have to see. Like I said, this past week was really rough for me. My brain was just not engaged. And so we'll just have to see how this next week goes. I'm actually feeling pretty good, especially I think because I read The Night Circus so slowly, it did kind of put me in a little bit of a slump. But now that I picked up Small Favors and have kind of gotten into it, I think everything that I have coming up, I think are books that I'm really going to be able to just dive into and fly through. So I'm really looking forward to all these books. But that's kind of where we're at. I would love to know if you've read any of these books or if you are interested in any of these books. You can let me know that down in the comments below. I did forget though, I haven't done my tarot card pull for the day, so I've been getting the extra point for pulling a tarot card each day. So let's go ahead and do that before I leave. The last few, I've gotten actually reverse cards, and they've been like negative because they've been reversed. Like some of the cards are negative, just upright, but and so they'll be positive reverse, but in this case, they've all just been negative. So again, I just kind of shuffle like this until a card pops out. I do use the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani. It's linked down below if you're interested in this. It's based on fairy tale folklores and mythology from all around the world, which is a lot of fun. I actually have, there's a book that goes along with it that I do have as well. And then, of course, you have your little booklet that just gives you the little tidbit about it. But let's go ahead and see what I get before I leave you guys here. I almost forgot to do that. So, nothing fell out that time, but just got caught, buddy. Oh, this card. So it was reversed, which means it's probably going to be negative again. And we got the High Priestess. So let's see what her mythology is, and what the prompt is. So the High Priest, okay, Scheherazade, which is from Turkey. It's an Arabic folk tale, which she's the one from 1001 Nights. And so the High Priestess is a keeper of vast knowledge with a story for every situation. Scheherazade asks the listener to focus on what their subconscious tells them, encouraging them to form their own conclusion. Her power is vast yet subtle. Her answers always mysterious. Because it was reversed, it represents ignorance, shallowness, lack of trust, a closed mind, and secrets. Again, like I've been getting a lot of these negative, and like none of them really fit. So I'll have to kind of ponder that one and see if I can fit that to any situations I have right now. And we'll just have to see. But ooh, I like that one because I've never read 1001 Nights, but I really, really want to. And there's a podcast I listen to, Myths and Legends. I forget the hosts that do it. But it's like a husband and wife, but it's mainly the husband who's telling the stories, and that's one of my favorite is when he does her. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.